Okay, y'all, welcome back. This is gonna be a day full of videos for me. This is the next session in how to be a bad bitch after leaving the narcissist. And this topic is gonna be thinking about and deciding who you want to, what kind of partner you want to start dating, and who you want to start getting involved with. You know, how you're going to level up from the ex narcissist, and who you'd like to get involved with now, the types of men, the types of partners, types character, you know, what kind of morals are you looking for in your partner, and what kind of dynamic do you want to have, how much um, how much do you want them to be involved in your life, you know, what kind of person are you looking for. And what you have to consider with this is that even though you are a good person and you know that, um, you the narcissist comes into your life because they can smell the lack of self-esteem, period. That is why they come into your life, that they know you don't feel good about yourself, and they're taking advantage of it, and that's the only reason they have the power they have. It does not mean that you have a character flaw. It does not mean that there is something wrong with you. It does not mean that you need to rethink life, and you know, change who you are and be a better person and stuff like that. It's not that. So when people say the narcissist coming into your life is a mirror, blah blah, I think they're I think they're saying that wrong, and I think they're saying that without being able to explain themselves. Because I think most people that say that kind of shit, everybody's a mirror, blah blah blah, that they don't know what they're talking about, and they need to stop doing that because they're confusing the shit out of people. And I don't believe in that. I believe in being very clear and very matter of fact about things. And if you've seen any of my videos, you'll know that. I'm very straightforward. So when it comes to looking at what the narcissist did to you, and seeing that as a mirror, if it's someone who came into your life like a partner, that's someone who you chose to keep around. Or you know, that's that it's not like growing up with a narcissistic parent or whatever. You don't choose that, right? You know, obviously. But the partner you chose, and the partner you settled for, that is someone you settled for because you thought that was going to be the best you could get at that time for whatever reason. And so when you go back and look at how you were feeling about yourself when you took the ex narcissist into your life and accepted that as a suitable partner, you need to look at how you were feeling about yourself deep down. Like, people think that they have confidence, but if you get them talking, you know, and you get them talking about themselves, they'll let little things slip that make you wonder, like, you know, why do you feel that way about yourself, whatever, like, that's sad, why would you say that, you know what I mean, like things like that. So when you get to know yourself better, and you get to see things where you've got holes in your confidence shield or whatever, you know, and you've got you say things to yourself you shouldn't be saying, you know, like cruel things to yourself, or you don't believe in yourself or what have you. You'll pick up on that stuff, and when you finally realize, it'll be ages after the narcissist realize it, because the reason they come into your life and sink their teeth in is because they can smell your low self-esteem, and they're taking advantage of it, and that's just what they do. It's just something they do. There was something about you, there was some weak spot that you had that they sensed, and they picked up on, and they just dove right in, like doing a nosedive into a swimming pool. They just dove in. So what we have to do is look at where your weak spots are, and see what needs to be mended, and see what needs to be repaired, and see what needs to be fixed and nourished and strengthened, and you know, made sturdy, and made healthy, and things like that. So whatever we need to improve upon or revamp in you, so that you don't have those weaknesses anymore, and you won't attract people that are just there to take advantage of shit, because that is what they do. And if you come off as strong, you know, independent, healthy minded, confident, believing in yourself, courageous, all those good things that you want to be and you can be, if you come off that way and you're sure about yourself and you're sure about what you're doing and saying, you're going to put off a vibe that says, I'm not going to take any bullshit. And women, a lot of the time, think that they put off that vibe, that I'm not going to take any shit kind of vibe. And there was a woman I was talking to one time who was always belittling herself and like sacrificing herself for her job and stuff like that, and just like always like tearing herself down over things. And then one time, somebody said something to her, and she stood up for herself, and that was like, I hadn't seen her do that, and I was like, wow, never seen her do that before. And this poor girl, I swear to God, she really looks at me and says, well, you haven't been around me much, have you? And I was like, girl, I've been around you all the time. Like, we used to work together. And I had never seen her speak up like that before. And my point is that women think that they are confident, or they think that they come off as confident because of what she said. Well, you haven't been around me, and you think that was the first time I've ever... But it was. Because usually she's tearing herself apart. So she doesn't realize, she's one of those examples of women where she doesn't realize that she actually kind of secretly doesn't believe in herself, and she's putting that vibe off. She just doesn't think she's doing it. And the reason for that is that women are taught not to believe themselves so that they won't get too uppity. They're taught to not believe themselves so they won't get too high and mighty, and they won't get too confident, because we can't have that. So you've been taught to keep yourself down to make it easy for someone else to be in control. And you're so used to that, and you've become so accustomed to that, that when you do it to yourself, you don't even realize you're doing it to yourself. What about that TikTok video of the police busted into that guy's house where it was all boarded up around the bottom, and they had to go through the window, the top window, and they took a ladder and got up there? And they get in there, and the cop is going up to the woman that's been held hostage, and she's got a chain around her neck with a padlock on her throat. And she is apologizing to the police officer who is there to save her, who's doing his job. That's what he signed up for, by the way. But she's apologized to him. So women are, which is fucking insane. So women are taught constantly to make yourselves little, apologize for shit, feel bad about shit, and all the rest of it. And there's a good chance that you at some point have given off some real strong I don't believe myself vibes because of those teachings. So women don't realize that they are giving off energies that they are giving off. So there's been women who have come to me asking me for help and asking me questions and stuff, and when I get their backstory, I say, well, look, we just got to figure out what it is about you that made him think it was okay to come at you like that. And a lot of them take it okay, and every now and then I'll get some woman that says, well, you need to stop victim blaming and stop, it's not my fucking fault, blah, blah, blah. I'm not blaming anybody. It's his fault. It's his fault because he's the one who's mentally ill. If I'm going to blame somebody, I am blaming him because he's the narcissist. He's the NPD. So I'm aware that it's his fault. What I'm trying to tell you is that there was something about you that gave off a message that made him think, as a crazy person, made him think it was okay to come at you and rush into your life and start telling you what to do. Something about you made him think it was okay. No, people like that, not real and true NPD people, narcissistic personality disorder people, do not go up to people who believe themselves and start pushing them around, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't. You can't go up to somebody who's confident and be like, all right, now listen, bitch, I'm going to tell you right now. You can't do it. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. So when somebody who's that screwed up and that crazy gets involved in your life and has you running in circles around them, there's a reason for that. There's some chink in your armor that we need to look at to fix and address and nourish and strengthen and make well, so that you don't put out that vibe anymore. We just have to investigate and figure out what it is. If you want to go one-on-one, we can do that, because that's one of my favorite things to do, is figure out what the hell happened. So that's a huge step. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to figure out what it was about you that gave off that vibe, because something did. I know, because I did it a million times. That's why I'm here teaching this shit now. So once you figure out where you want to work on yourself, your confidence, how you carry yourself, how you talk about yourself, how you see yourself, how you relate to other people, whatever it is, we work on that, and we get you brushed up, we get you polished, we get you up to your next level where you can be sure of yourself, be sure of the decisions you make, be confident in your body, have a good schedule where you take care of yourself and you're healthy, have a good mindset. you don't have failure and shit like that in your vocabulary, all that kind of good stuff, right? We sort those things out for you so that you are at a new level and a new improved version of you. And um, after that, once you get to that place, you can say, well, shit, I've worked on a lot in myself. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've fixed this. I used to feel this way, I fixed that. You know, your mindset, whatever, like you tell yourself bad things about yourself, or you think you're afraid to pursue something because you think you can't do it. You're afraid to go to nursing school because you think you're dumb or whatever. We fixed shit like that. And, you know, and especially when it comes to the kind of man that you have your heart set on and who you want to attract. And you think, you know, and if the opportunity ever presents itself and you see him in public for real, and you look at him, you know, admiring him from far away or whatever, and you're like, man, you know, he's amazing, but he's never going to notice. He would never notice me. He'd never want me. That's what we need to look at, because something in you is telling you what your limits are and who you're, who you can pick from. And there shouldn't be any limits in that. There's women who are dumb as hell, who have successful ass millionaire husbands, athlete husbands, you know, they're dating, you know, rich guys that own clubs in Miami and shit like that, you know, and they have everything. And, well, I say everything, excuse me, that maybe not everything, but you know what I mean. You get the idea. There's women who, like, have no idea what the hell they're doing, but because of their confidence and because they think they can handle it, they go after A-listers, and and they get them. And it's because of how they carry themselves. They could be dumb as shit, but if they carry themselves a certain way, they get whoever they want. And probably whatever car they want. So what you have to consider is how you carry yourself around the type of partner you want. How you enter a room, how you hold your head up. Do you dress classy? Do you wear stuff that your ideal partner would be interested in looking at? You know, what kind of message do you want to send out there? When you walk into a room, especially a room of people you don't know, what do you do? Do you look down at your shoes? Do you look down at the floor? Do you just look for one face that you might recognize? Are you too afraid to look at anybody in the eye? Do you look for the person who's running the show and get to know them? Do you, whatever, you know what I mean? There's, the way you carry yourself and the way that you do those things is gonna let you know who you're making yourself available to, because people pick up on shit, especially when they don't realize it. The narcissist realizes it. They know when they're doing the wrong thing. They know when they're terrorizing you. Okay, they're not stupid. They're crazy, but they're not stupid. So they know what they're doing. Now, so after you work on yourself and you make the improvements and you say, well, you know, I've done this, I've done that, I feel better about myself, I've mastered such and such part of myself, I'm no longer, you know, telling myself negative things or what have you, whatever it is that you're working on, you can level up and say, I'm ready for such and such type partner. And that will keep you in check, because you can imagine your ideal partner and say, well, you know, this is who I want. He's got these qualities. He's got this kind of profession. He's got this kind of income. He's got this kind of lifestyle. He has these kinds of hobbies. He's got these kinds of morals. And you make your list of exactly who this guy is, and leave wiggle room. You know, like don't limit yourself too much, you know, because you're going to meet people who fit some of the criteria but not all of it. Don't lock yourself out of that. If you want to give somebody a try and they're not perfect, that's not going to hurt. Give it a try and see what happens. But make your list basically of who you kind of want, and be specific. And then go down your list and ask yourself, all right, now, can I compete with that? And not in a bad way, but look at each quality and say, now, can I meet him halfway? And that doesn't always mean if he goes to the gym 4 times a week, that you need to go to the gym 4 times a week. Not necessarily. But if he's taking care of himself in the way that he's going to do it, are you able to take care of yourself in ways that are good for you, that would be kind of equal to him? If he's going to the gym and that's not really your thing, what else do you have? Are you a dancer? Do you do yoga? Do you like going for walks in nature? Are you at least eating healthy? Because if you want to attract him, you've got to be something he can relate to. And even though, yes, opposites attract, I still say that if you want something, you need to, if you have your heart set on something, you need to level up and match that so that you can get it into your life. Because if you're, if you want to be a heart doctor and you never go to school to be a heart doctor and never learn how to do it, then how are you expecting to get a job at a hospital being a heart doctor? If you didn't go to school and put in the effort to get the degree and do the work, you got to do the work. So let's say you want an intellectual, you want somebody who, teaches at a college or something like that, teaches history at a college or something, or science or whatever. Can you have conversations with him about those topics? Can you do that? Because he's going to want to talk about that stuff because that's his passion, most likely. Are you reading enough books to keep up with stuff like that? Do you have any natural interests that are like similar like that? Hobbies, stuff you like to do on the side. Do you like to work with your hands? Do you like to make stuff with your hands? Sewing, jewelry, woodwork, pottery, whatever. Is that something that you're passionate about? You can get somebody who's also passionate about something he does with his hands, something he makes, leatherworking or something like that. Builds machines or whatever, and it doesn't have to be the same genre. You could do woodwork or beads or something, and he could do like engineering or whatever. He's building, he just does it differently, but y'all are still putting stuff together. One difference is yours allows for more creativity, and things like that. So when you consider who you want to date and who you want to be around, you do in so many ways have to level up and be a match to who the hell it is you're looking for. Because you can't expect, because you would want the same from him. Because we laugh at these guys, and rightly so, we should, but we laugh at these guys who sit around, no shirt, stomach sticking way out, balding, burping, hasn't bathed in 3 days, hasn't brushed his teeth in a week, toenails missing, nails are long and filthy, and he's sitting on here on the internet critiquing your new lipstick and telling you he doesn't approve of it. How the hell does his opinion matter? That doesn't even make any fucking sense. It doesn't. So not that I'm saying that y'all like that, but you get the idea. If you want something, you pretty much have to be what that is in so many ways, that you can. You have to kind of match that shit so that you can say, yeah, this is what I want because this is what I have to offer. And that's not just looking for partners or whatever that you want to level up with and be a match to and have your equal. That's jobs. Most jobs won't hire you if you haven't had an experience. If it's something real specific, they need to know that you know what you're doing. If it's something important like working in a medical office or something like that, you need to know what you're talking about. They can't just hire somebody who's only ever worked at Dollar General and then have them be a medical assistant in some surgical place or something like that. You need to have the certificate and know what you're doing and know the terminology and then say, okay, I'm ready for this. What say you? And do it that way. So when it comes to leveling up to try to get the partner you want, it's not to make you feel like, when I say these things, it's not to make you feel like, well, you are below par with some things, so we need to brush you up so you can, start acting like you're somebody, if you want to get what you want. That's, I'm sure some people do say that, but I'm sort of telling you that, but in a nicer way, and not talking down to you, because I don't like to do that. So what I'm saying is, if you want something, you have to act like you are that thing before you get there. And people will say that that's part of manifesting and shit like that. I sort of do the manifesting stuff. It's not, I don't live by it, it's not like something I do every 5 minutes. But I mean, here and there, yeah. But basically, even in the manifesting world, they tell you, well, you need to be an energetic match for blah, blah. I wouldn't put so much pressure on yourself. Like, if you're not feeling good about yourself and you still know what you want, still work towards it anyway, and give yourself baby steps to get used to the idea of what you're working towards, and get used to the idea that you deserve it because you see yourself working for it and you see yourself making progress in that direction and earning it. Do you see what I mean? So you make the small steps little by little, and you prove to yourself that you deserve what it is you're working for. You want to get in better shape, you do a little bit of exercising every day. You want to start eating a little bit better every day. And as you make your progress and you see your progress and you see your efforts paying off, you'll start to say, well, shit, yeah, maybe I do deserve this because I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And that's how you do that. That's why I'm such a big advocate on the baby steps, because there's no reason for you to be pressuring yourself, for something that feels too far away to accomplish just because of how you're feeling today. A little bit of devotion to yourself every day can take you miles. So that's just something to consider. And like I say, take it seriously when you imagine your ideal partner and his qualities, her qualities, whatever, and characteristics and habits and mindsets and the way they talk to themselves and the way they relate to their old self and their past selves and the way they relate to other people and their viewpoint of the world and how they treat animals and how they treat children and those things. The way people treat animals and children especially will tell you what they're like, because those are the two innocent things on the earth, right? The two most innocent things, animals and children. And the way people act towards them is going to tell you a lot. So find out about that. When you meet somebody, get to know them, and be open-minded with yourself as well. If you have an interest and you really want somebody who has that same exact interest, you may meet that person, but at the same time, he may have other shit that you don't like, and you don't and don't make yourself feel locked down like, oh my god, because I did this. I better keep him around because we're both interested in fill in the blank, and I know I'm not going to find anybody else that's into that, so I need to just take the bad with the good. And that was a huge mistake I made, and I swear to God I'll never do it again. I haven't done that in a long time. I sure as hell don't do it now, but that is something you do not want to torture yourself with, because there's no reason to do that. There's no reason to limit yourself to bullshit behavior just because both of y'all like woodworking or some shit like that. Do you know what I mean? Be open-minded with it. Creativity and art is as expansive as the human soul itself. So there's all kinds of artists out there. There's all kinds of people. There's married couples who get along just fine, who get along beautifully, and they both have different hobbies. They might both be artistic. One might be a dancer and one might do leatherworking or some shit like that, or iron work or whatever. And they're both artists. They just do it differently. So they can appreciate each other because they're both into art, but they're into different types of art so that they can admire each other and witness each other doing different things that's new to them. Do you know what I mean? New and exciting, and things you can teach your partner that they don't already know. Like, she could teach him about dance and how she does dance, and he can teach her how he does his iron work or his engineering or whatever it is that he does, right? Whatever the story is. So don't limit yourself completely. Even though you have your list and you're specific and you know what you want, don't cut yourself off from somebody just because ... You know what I mean? We have to be open-minded when it comes to healing and self-nourishment and repairing ourselves. We have to be very open-minded with it and very free-flowing with it, because once you start working on yourself and you start repairing yourself, and especially leveling yourself up and imagining and aligning with who you want to be and who you want to be with, you have to allow for creativity and freedom and wiggle room and flow, because the possibilities, as you'll realize over time, are absolutely endless as to who you can have, who you can be, what you can achieve as an individual and as a couple. It's just it's endless. All the things you could do, all the possibilities and all the things you could accomplish. So don't limit yourself to one person just because y'all have one hobby together or whatever, and the rest of his personality is shit. You don't have to do that. But it is important to take it seriously when you want to level up and you want to attract a certain type of person. You need to really just look at yourself and say, okay, what qualities in me would attract that type of a partner? And can I meet them halfway? Can I meet that person halfway? If he goes to the gym, am I a dancer? Am I doing Pilates? Am I, will we understand each other in fitness or whatever? And that's important. If he likes science, could you stand listening to him talk about science a lot? Will you be able to keep up with it and be able to discuss news articles you've read with him or whatever. He'll love that shit. He'll love talking about that shit. If that's his passion, he's gonna be like, "Oh my god, you read that fucking article too? I can't believe it. Let's talk," and it'd just take off. But you have to be able to keep up with that, just like you want him to be able to keep up with you with something that you love. Mine's belly dance. Luckily, a lot of people are into that, and I have a lot of options when it comes to that. So people just sit back and watch or whatever. But when I it's better when I meet other women who do belly dance, because we obviously have shit to talk about, instead of just being looked at. But so that's a little different. But I do a lot of stuff. I do sewing. I do beads. Gosh, I do artwork now and then, like on paper. I like to clean. I'm big on my hygiene. I have my candles. I have my ancestral stuff. I like antiques. I like magical things, mystical things, spooky things. I believe in, working on yourself and trying to do self-improvement, but not being like harsh on yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, take your time and you learn the ins and outs and stuff like that. And I like yoga and I like Pilates. I don't like to exercise, but I'll do it every now and then, because I think I have to. But really, it's not my go-to. If it's a dance exercise, I can handle it. Like, I'm much better with that, because it's more creative. But those are some of the things I like to do. So, when I get around men who understand that stuff and are interested in those things, it makes it a lot easier, because he's meeting me at my level. And we have more shit to talk about and shit to connect on, especially spiritual stuff. If you can get somebody who's at your level spiritually, you will have so much more to talk about, and you'll finally have somebody who understands you and understands your questions and the things you've wondered about and things you've learned and shit like that, So considering who you want to be and who you want to attract in your life are very important, and to be honest with yourself about where you want to work on yourself, where you want to make improvements, where you want to start taking things seriously. And this will help you in the long run, even if you start doing all this stuff and you realize you want to take a break from dating and you just don't want to fool with it right now, and you take a break for a year or whatever. Like, I've done that a lot and it feels good. It does. When I've needed it, it's served me well. And you can take a break from the dating and not do it to get partners, but just to meet yourself at your higher level, at your next level of ascension. And that's whatever that is. You're taking better care of your body. You're talking more kindly and more lovingly to yourself. You're trying to have more mercy and compassion for other people and animals, and you're trying to volunteer your time to take care of people, take care of old people, or volunteer at the animal shelter, or work at a daycare to learn how to try to have more compassion for children and babies and things like that. Whatever it is that you see in yourself that you want to work on and you want to see yourself do better with, you do those things. And as you do those things naturally, you will naturally attract people who vibe with that shit and who are ready to meet you halfway as friends or partners or whatever. So it'll happen on its own. But as you start to be honest with yourself, you can understand yourself better, and you can reach those new levels where you hit new heights. You know what I mean? So all of that happens, like, it unfolds naturally on its own if you just let it. But that's why it's important to understand who the hell you want, and you focus on that instead of focusing on what the ex-narcissist did to you or whatever. You shed that by focusing on yourself and who else is out there that you could have that will be better than the ex-narcissist, obviously. By leveling up and letting the world know and putting the signal out there that you are not going to settle for shit, for bullshit treatment. And the people who have nothing but bullshit treatment to offer will see you and say, okay, I can't fuck with her. She's not going to let me get away with that. And they'll just walk on by because they know they can't touch you. They know they can't fool with you. And I've had a lot of men pass me up because I didn't realize that I was aiming too damn low, and they probably saw something in me that just let them know, it's not going to work. It's not going to work either. Or a lot of times I was told I was too needy. I was too touchy-feely. I used to hold hands a lot, in the car and everything. And I had a couple of them tell me I was too touchy-feely. And then I quit doing it, and then there was a problem. So, you know, don't betray yourself. You know what I mean? But anyway, so that's how you can examine yourself and examine and learn how to relate to who you'd like to start dating in the future. But it just has to be somebody that can understand you, and you, somebody who can meet you halfway. And when you list the requirements, you know, of what you're looking for, you do have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, can I keep up with this? Can I meet him halfway with either intellect or physical health or discipline or spiritual stuff or whatever it is that is most important to you? And that will help you see where you need to polish yourself. And you'll have only yourself to thank in the end, because either way, you're up-leveling yourself, for your own benefit, not for someone else's. So whether you go back to dating again or not, you know, anytime soon, you've leveled up and you've improved upon yourself, and that is a victory for you overall, one regardless of if you're dating somebody or not. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're doing that. I think that's it for that video. We're going to close with that. I got to get to some other videos today and check my messages and stuff and do my afternoon stuff with my clients. So that's it for now. I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you next time.